Wednesday, August 9th, 2023 at 6:30 PM. If you would, please silence your cell phones and please note the two exits in the rear of the room and one to my right. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing and remember those who are serving in harm's way. Thank you. Does anyone here like to speak on behalf of any of the agenda items prior to the meeting starting? If not, we're not going to start with number 3 right this second. Our town engineer, Kate Fiorello, has a quick announcement to make.
Oh, this is really regarding the flooding that happened on Monday night. So if you know of private residents that had serious damage that is not covered by insurance, please reach out to us. You can reach out directly to me. We're compiling the information for the Office of Emergency Management for Onondaga County. They're going to submit to FEMA and see if there's enough claims, whether they get any assistance, but they might be able to get like low interest loans. Because we've all, I think, gotten a few calls from people who've lost a lot of stuff. So tomorrow would be the best day to reach out to me because I have to turn this in on Friday. But, you know.
Are we going to put a notice on the website?
Yes, I think we
Social
we
media
will.
too,
Yeah.
Put one on the website and social media tonight.
Great.
Note the phone number to reach Kate is 315-752-1182. That's her direct line.
And when's the deadline?
Friday
Friday.
at 3.
To be honest, I don't know, but
Okay.
I'm assuming something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Hence tomorrow.
But she's got to compile it, so.
Yeah. And it's really not that much information, but it's just, there's a lot of people. So I'll just be doing an Excel spreadsheet. So.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Number 3, Counselor White.
Approval of abstracts. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstracts number 31 of 2023 dated 8/2/2023 and number 32 dated 8/9/2023.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain. Passed. Number 4.
Approval of budget modifications and transfers. Move for the adoption of a resolution approving and accepting the budget modifications and transfers as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain. Passed. Number 5, looks like Paul Massey at 6341 Island Road, tax map number 053.03-01.0, proposed zone change from ag to industrial. And we have Tim Coyer here. If you would, come on up and give us a little rundown.
Best. Good evening, Tim Coyer, iNews and Romans Land Surveying. If anybody wants any extra maps, I have some extra maps for you if you haven't seen any. This is a pretty simple project. We're looking for a zone change. The existing property is roughly 3.7 acres on the north side of Island Road. It's basically opposite Island Hollow, which is across the street from us. Properties around us on the east is industrial already, and on the north and west are agricultural still. We're looking to zone change this into an industrial property so that the owner can put up a storage warehouse with an office in the front. And with it being agricultural right now, we have to go through like a special permit and everything for the office part. So we're looking to do the zone change to industrial so he can kind of go right to site plan for this.
Perfect.
I know we're not there yet. I would just make a comment, and I understand that industrial is where we have storage facilities, at least currently. Mike, I just would note my concern is not a storage facility. My concern is what else could be built there if the zoning classification were changed to industrial.
No, we understand it, and we have no problem limiting ourselves to, what specific uses we're looking for his existing operation. So that's not necessarily a big deal. We don't want to do anything major industrial there. We're just looking to get there. And he specifically wants to store his his snow trucks right now because he's renting out another facility right now. So he wants to get them in there and store them there for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so some kind of a limiting agreement or covenant, that would be helpful. Okay,
we don't have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else? This will be referred to the planning board. So let me read the resolution. Move the adoption resolution that the town board of the town of Cicero assume the role of lead agency pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act in regards to the application known as Paul Massey for a zone change or change in zone district from agricultural AG to industrial IN for the property located at 6341 Island Road, tax map number 053.03-01.0.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Approve pipe purchase. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the purchase of 700 feet of 10-inch pipe in the amount of $12,000 to Crossroads Highway. Budget code DB 511045.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Approve new Graco Road Pack T1 striper. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve a new striper. Parts for the 2008 Graco are no longer available in the amount of $49,174.25 to Franklin Paint Company. Budget code DB 33102.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Approve profiling company to grind and mill gutters. Move for the adoption of a resolution to approve the rental of a grinder mill machine with operators in the amount of $11,000 to J&L Profiling. Budget code DB 511242.
Second.
Discussion,
Hey, Chris, just a quick question. If you don't know, not a problem. You know roughly what roads, just for informational purposes, these will be used on?
The last remaining roads are going to be, Herbities and up in that.
Up in there, okay. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, how's operations going with that paving? Good? Good. Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Counselor Carp,
Whereas a project for the NY 739 revitalization and redevelopment of the Hamlet of Brewerton Phase 2, Route 11 from Guy Young Road to Bennett Street, PIN 395077, here and after the project, is eligible for funding under Title 23 United States Code as amended, that calls for the apportionment of the cost of such program to be borne at the ratio of 80% federal funds and 20% non-federal funds and partially 100% federal funds. And whereas the town board previously approved the project in the sum of $2,103,306, he is hereby appropriated by $1,720,306 in federal funding, $287,250 in state funding, and $95,750 in local funding. And whereas the costs for the project are estimated to exceed what was planned for in the STIP, an additional $500,000 of match funding has been added to the project, 80% federal, 15% state, 5% local. Now, therefore, the Town of Cicero Board duly convened does hereby resolve that the Town of Cicero Board hereby approves the above subject project, and is hereby further resolved that the Town of Cicero Board hereby authorizes the Town of Cicero to pay in the first instance 100% of the federal and non-federal share of the cost of construction and inspection work for the project or portion thereof for the amended costs. And it is further resolved that the new sum of $2,603,306 is hereby appropriated by $2,120,306 in federal funding, $362,250 in state funding, and $120,750 in local funding, with the local funding included in the town's budget and made available to cover the costs of participation in the above phase of the project. And it is further resolved in the event the full federal and non-federal share of the project exceed the amount appropriated above, the Town of Cicero Board shall convene as soon as possible to appropriate said excess amount immediately upon notification by the New York State Department of Transportation thereof. And it is further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Cicero be and hereby is authorized to execute all necessary agreements, certifications, or reimbursement requests for federal aid and or Maricelli aid on behalf of the Town of Cicero with the New York State Department of Transportation in connection with the advancement or approval of the project and providing for the administration of the project and the municipalities' first instance funding of project costs and permanent funding of the local share of federal aid and state aid eligible project costs and all project costs within appropriations, therefore, that are not so eligible. And it is further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be filed with the New York State Commissioner of Transportation by attaching it to any necessary agreement in connection with the project. And it is further resolved this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second.
okay then, discussion,
Only John can read it like that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Go ahead, Mike.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving the July 2023 Drivers Village Vehicle Repair Bill for $6,410.76, budget code B 312042.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. We'll move on to, Teresa, did you want to talk about the community garage sale? See that on here?
Sure. Hopefully the weather will be acceptable on Saturday, but we have planned a huge community garage sale to be held this Saturday from 9 to 3 in the parking lot of the CNS High School. And it's a fundraiser for the canteen. We have, I think we have 41 vendors right now signed up and a few food vendors. So feel free, if you can, come on out and support. We'll have really an assortment of, it's not just garage sale items, but also some, local merchants are selling some whatever goods as well. So anyway, hopefully come on out. And we also are supposed to have a summer concert tomorrow night at William Beach if the weather cooperates as well.
Thanks, Teresa.
you.
Quick question, Teresa. If
Yeah.
somebody still wanted to be a vendor, is the deadline passed or can they still sign up? I've
Yeah,
had-
it was
I've
supposed
had
to
a
be,
couple
it was supposed to be
questions, yeah.
Friday, but we
Friday.
extended it till Tuesday. So yeah, now it is because we kind of did the layout already.
Thank you.
Okay, the next topic of discussion is the Town of Cicero Facilities Committee update. I'd like to introduce the Facilities Committee to everyone. It's Michael Madigan. These are all residents of the Town of Cicero. Bill Holland, Carol Brown, Elsa Lamana, Don Bloss, Corey Hoke, and Clinton Maloney, and Kate Fiorello, our town engineer, myself, and Deputy Supervisor Michael Bacallo. Would you like to come up, Mike?
So I'm Mike Madigan. I'm a longtime resident of the town here. We came together after seeing a notification on the town website about interested residents getting together and forming a committee to look at the town facilities, which we did in early April. And the town engineer and the town supervisor and deputy supervisor outlined what their expectations were for this committee to look at the town facilities. And we took their direction and followed up with site visits of 5 town facilities. And we did write-ups in the form of a Excel spreadsheet looking at each individual system in the buildings as we look through those. I think they were forwarded to you as part of the handout ahead of tonight's meeting. But each of the buildings we looked at included a physical survey of the building. We took photographs. We interviewed facility occupants, and then we did the spreadsheets, and we also produced some observations and recommendations for the buildings. The focus really ended up, as we looked at the facilities, came down to really the facility in question really is the town hall. And as we looked at it, it was constructed in 1957, major building addition in 1976. So we've got, a 66-year-old building with, or 47 in some parts. So it's reached a point in its life where it's this future needs to be considered. Windows and doors are in poor condition. They need replacement. The existing roof needs to be replaced. The town's gotten a quote for $210,000 a couple of years ago to do that. So that's something that needs to be considered. There's the heating and cooling systems. Some portions of those are still part of the original 1957 or 1976 part of the building. And the exterior pavements are in good condition. The asphalt pavement is in somewhat poor condition. So we've got an aging building here. The issue we noticed probably most critical is the the space utilization and the availability of space within the building. The town has grown significantly since the building was first constructed and since the building was last expanded in 1976. And without doing a detailed space allocation survey, it was pretty clear that there's not enough space within the building footprint to house the current functions that we're going to need for the future. To accommodate that need, the floor plan changes would require some major restructuring that would be very difficult to do within the framework of the existing building. An addition would be challenging to make the spaces flow within that space. And then we come back to the age of the mechanical and electrical systems within the building and the roofing. So we've got a building that's, essentially not suitable for for the occupants in the future. And then we've also got systems that are at or near the end of their useful life. So the bottom line really is we need to be really looking at what the future is going to be for the town hall. We expect that there's going to be repairs needed with the systems that are aging. And at some point, they're going to need to be replaced with something newer. So what are the options? We thought that we should be looking at what the options would be for the building going in the future, whether it be the wholesale renovation, which would be challenging, whether there'd be construction of a new building to replace it, or possibly repurposing an existing building elsewhere in the town for the town's purposes that could be available. So we didn't generate capital costs. That's really beyond the scope of what we were doing. But we're recommending that the costs and benefits of those options, wholesale renovation, new construction, or adaptive reuse of another building. Those are really the three options that look like present the best path forward. One of those would present the best path forward for the town. So any questions? There's in the handout, we kind of go into a little bit more detail on what the issues we saw were, what our recommendations are. But are there any questions about what we saw and where why we came to this conclusion?
No.
Anybody on the committee have anything to add, perhaps what they saw maybe that we didn't talk about here?
Come on up, Elsa.
I'm Elsa Lamana from Cicero, and it has been an honor serving with these wonderful citizens of Cicero. One thing, not being an engineer, is the human part. I noticed that everybody is conglomerated in each office in the town hall. They need a space. So, and that's one of the things that we talked with the employees. So keep in mind that. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, what's your background? Can you just give me a little bit?
Yeah, so my background, I'm a licensed engineer in New York State. I've been with O'Brien & Gear for the past 15 years, currently Rombold, North America. I worked for several other engineering firms in the area. I'm a mechanical engineer by training. My focus is energy systems, HVAC and mechanical. But for the last 15 years, I've been doing campus-wide energy master planning, facility master planning, and decarbonization mostly for college campuses, multi-million square foot, multi-building campuses that are really looking to, make decisions about what they're going to do with their existing facilities in the future, which ones can be reused, which ones can be repurposed. That's really been my background and the costs and benefits associated with those. So.
How many times did you guys meet and how much time did you spend on each of our facilities?
Good question. So each, we met initially and then we met at each of the buildings and probably a 2-hour meeting, walk around, interview at each site. And then we, then we consolidated our notes afterwards. So there was some follow-up time that we spent to put together the reporting. And then we met. So we met 4 times, and then we had one follow-up meeting where we sort of consolidated our thoughts and shared what we thought our conclusions would be before we wrote it up. So it was a good process. I think I think it was, everyone contributed. It was a worthy exercise.
Are there plans to continue meeting regularly just to keep evaluating and checking in with things?
We haven't talked about that. We haven't decided really, the point our work so far got us to this point. I think we could say that we looked at the town hall, of course, Parks Department office, the Parks Maintenance Department. Out back here, we looked at the police department and the senior center from kind of a similar perspective, and we didn't see the sorts of issues with any of those buildings that there is with the town hall. They seem to be, I think you could always do, improvements and modernizations, but they're all in pretty sound condition. Is there other options that you could do with space planning in the town? Probably. So to get much beyond this, it's probably I'd say we probably need some direction, see what we might look at and how we might do it. And as residents, we're working with the resources that we have here too. So at some point, it becomes bigger than we can take on ourselves. And we're happy to continue and help if needed. So
Thank you very much.
all right, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I got something to read. I'd like to introduce a pivotal topic for discussion concerning the future of the town hall building. It's becoming increasingly evident to those familiar with town hall and town court operations that our current space is insufficient, and the courts struggle to meet their state regulations. Recognizing the value of an unbiased perspective, we formed a facilities committee comprising 7 volunteers, all whom were warmly welcomed. Collaborative spirit among the committee members made the experience exceptionally positive. Over the past few months, the Facilities Committee conducted thorough site visits to the Town Hall, Parks Department, Senior Center, and Police Department. These visits have enunciated that the pressing need for a decision regarding the future of the Town Hall building. As the town's oldest structure, it's apparent that significant repairs are required. However, given the current layouts inadequacy in accommodating our staff and complying with the court regulations, the committee has proposed that constructing a new building to house both the town hall and the courts would be more prudent approach, outweighing the substantial investment required to mend the existing structure. In light of our collective appreciation for the board's unwavering commitment to fiscal responsibility and the minimization of tax burdens, we find ourselves at a juncture where the decision regarding the town hall's future is inevitable. Furthermore, our opportune moment has arisen, one that could greatly benefit the town. It is important to note that Micron's anticipated investment in our neighboring town of Clay is poised to have far-reaching effects across our town's departments, including the police department. Moreover, a compelling prospect lies on the horizon. Potential acquisition of the Echo Park, a modern 44,000 square foot building that sits on 13 acres and has been in existence for 6 years. Situated in the far east of the property sits a 9,200 square foot building that could instantly house the park's maintenance department. The front section of the property could even be sublet to defray loan costs, loss of tax revenue, or just add some green space to host community events, or even can be sold to help pay for the facility. In light of these promising developments, I encourage all of you to actively participate in an open, candid, and constructive discourse about the unforeseen opportunity. Your insights and contributions hold immense, immeasurable value as we collectively navigate this pivotal decision, one that has the potential to significantly enhance the future of our town. Importantly, it's worth noting that the purchase of the new building could be achieved with minimal or no cost to the taxpayers, depending on the purchase price. The retrofitting of the interior building would be covered using a $400,000 grant provided by Senator Mannion's office, a $200,000 Onondaga County building grant provided by Onondaga County for our roof, and they're allowing us to move it to that facility. $250,000 from Assembly of Sturpey's office, ARPA funds, fund balance, and capital funds, and proceeds from the sale of the existing town hall. Additionally, Assemblyman Sturpey's other generous grant of $300,000 could be utilized to establish a green space pavilion and instant pickleball courts, exactly what the residents of the town of Cicero have been asking for the past 2 years. This space could also serve as a venue for community events such as Cicero Festival, weekly car cruise nights, and could also accommodate the police department in the future if desired. And I have a short PowerPoint presentation that I want to go over with everyone. So we know the town of Cicero Town Hall has been built in 1957 and added on. An addition was added in 1976. Town Parks Maintenance Building that sits out behind here is in dire need as well, as you can see. And the property behind the town hall was sold to National Grid for a substation to be put back there. And as you can see, there's also a cell tower that's to the left side of it. So the Cicero Town Court has been out of compliance for 10 years for safety. The busiest town court in Onondaga County. Transports have no space for prisoners. Courts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, employees must walk outside to get around the other side of the building. So if the clerk is on one side of the building and the court's going in here, even in the winter time, they have to walk outside through to get to the other side. Employees cannot use the lunchroom after 2 p.m. on those days because of the court that's going on. There's also a gate that's locked in between the two offices here, so we can't even get to the lunchroom. No space for court files. And they're in need of another clerk, and there's no room to put them. Residents cannot come into the town hall during court hours without having to go through a magnetometer. And we also pay $3,500 a year to store office files for codes, courts, and assessor's office next door at Stormore, America, because we don't have any space. So we move on to Vision Cicero, just what our comprehensive plan is that's named out there. Cicero Town Hall and Parks Department. This could be the Cicero Town Hall, Parks Department, and Police Department if we so shall to do this. Former Echo Park dealership and detail shop. It's built in 2017 with 46,000 square foot building, sits on 13.85 acres. The detail shop was built in 2018 and has 9,200 acres, 400 square foot of carport for a total of 9,760 square foot of room. So we did a programming back maybe a year ago when we were looking at the courthouse next door. CNS did a programming for us. They came in and met with every employee in the town. And I think this is what Mike was talking about. They didn't do any programming, but they did do the programming for us. So it was placed, the programming that CNS gave us, we put this on the programming here. Everything that we asked for and they brought up would fit in this building. And as you see the community room and the boardroom over on the left side over there, if you didn't want to have a courtroom, if you want to have a courtroom by itself, you could actually have a community center and implement that. And nothing on here is set in stone. So there's walls inside this place that can be kept there. As you see, they can still be kept there and do minimal construction to get the project going. As you see, our Parks Department, 6,000 square foot, and the Echo Park dealership is 9,200 square foot. Police Department, police are in need of a 40 by 80 pole barn to be used for evidence. Police vehicles and records cost projected to be probably 150,000. The longer we wait, the more money it's going to cost to build one. And this isn't heated or insulated. Echo Park currently has enough space not only to house the police department, but can hold every police vehicle and police evidence, and most likely including the codes department vehicles as well. In the rear of the building where the auto lifts are is located approximately 10,000 square feet and is heated. The police department photo to the right is approximately 4,800 square feet. Potential revenue, the town could sublet the parcel out front, land lease to make up the loss of the town tax revenue, or just sell what is not needed. Auto lifts that were, if negotiated, would be left there. We could sell those. Other mechanicals could be sold. Town hall, back on the tax rolls. We could sell this place. Police building, back on the rolls. If we decided to move the police over and to put them in there, we could put that building back on the tax rolls eventually. And the furniture most likely is included down there, so the town wouldn't have to have any furniture or minimal furniture for the offices. We talk about renewable energy opportunity and community use. We talk about solar on the roof to help offset the high cost of power, to help clean energy in the town. Talk about green space, pickleball courts. Build a few pavilions there, sports court, basketball, maybe a playground. Space for weekly car cruises. Bring back the Cicero Festival to the center of town. Other community activities. We'd have EV charging stations there for people to use, and a potential community center. Parking lot, community events, add green space or sublet. That's the space out front on Route 11. And this is a green space layout that I had done. It outlines the building. We talk about so much tarvia that's there and blacktop that we have to have green space. There's no way the town would ever want to take on that responsibility of all that green space, all that pavement. And with talking with Chris, they could do some of this stuff, remove the pavement and put green space in there. And if you look to the back where the maintenance building is, there's pickleball courts that can be put there. The pavement's already there, has to be painted, and the fencing goes up immediately, and that would be paid for by, like I said, our assemblyman's 300,000. Echo Park entrance. Developer in the back, if this goes through, has to install a light, so it's safer to get in and out of the facility. And they also have to have an entrance access points to go to Walmart or Wegmans. So there's 3 entrances to get into the facility. As a town hall has 4 lanes of traffic for in and out, there's not a traffic light there, and there never will be. And if there is, the town has to pay for it. And Echo Park will fit right into the town center. And like I said, it's not approved yet. It's not to us yet. It's in the planning stages. This would marry right up into it. We talk about the future of the town. We have to plan for the future. Interior funding. We talked about capital funds, ARPA funds, a fund building improvement fund, Onondaga County grant, fund balance, sale of the existing town hall, court funding. There's court funding out there. There's county funding. I haven't talked to our county executive yet. He's been on vacation, and I haven't got him this information yet. I wasn't been able to sit down with him yet. Senator Mannion, who gave generous 400,000, and our assemblyman who gave 250,000. The purchase price. The purchase price, we're talking, it needs to be negotiated. We need to negotiate that price. What is that price? It needs to be negotiated with Echo Park. As of right now, they're asking 12 million. I think we can get it for less. And if we got it for less, there would be no tax increase to the residents of the town of Cicero. If we did purchase it for $12 million, Alka, we figured this out. It was $30 per $200,000 home per year. And it would be a 25-year bond.
Just a quick question about, we have bonds that are coming off this year, correct?
Bands.
Bans, what's going to happen to those?
They're gonna go away,
Disappear completely.
disappear completely, paid off.
What about that money?
That money would be available to would no, thank you, would no longer be an expenditure in the budget. So then that would free up that money for other things to go into the budget.
What were those bans for? I don't know if,
Those bans were for paving the roads in 2018 and 19.
thank you.
Anyone else? No one else? Okay,
Not yet. Continue, please continue with your
Yeah,
presentation.
continue.
I'm done.
Okay,
So then, John, if you don't mind,
by all
since
means.
I just asked the question about the bans that are coming off from 2018 and 2019 for those roads. So basically, the public is going to be paying off these roads, much like the thruway, in perpetuity. So that money is available. We just heard by the comptroller, that money won't be completely off, right? Just giving it back to the community because they won't be paying anymore. I might be doing a bad job of explaining this, but basically these roads that we paid for are going to be paid for forever, correct?
Well, I mean, the money that we were paying for them, which could be reallocated in numerous ways under this plan, would be reallocated toward purchasing this new town hall instead of towards roads, parks, police, whatever, you know, I mean, so it's to say that there would be no tax increase is technically accurate, but when you look at the way money's being moved around.
When these loans were, I remember reading these loans, and it was for that period of time that the money was supposed to be spent for. Then it was done. The agreement we made with the public, I mean, I didn't because I would have known those when I was, actually, I wasn't in for those 2 times. Was when those payments were through, the public was not going to be charged a nickel more. When it was paid off, it was paid off. Now we're talking about, that's what I meant in perpetuity. So that money as a taxpayer is rolled in continuously.
Well, I think what we'd be doing is under this proposal would be taking out a new loan and taking the money that we were paying on the old loan and paying it on the new loan.
Paying in
And it-
perpetuity.
No, it would be new and it would be approved by referendum by the residents.
Right, but
Not just by the 5 of us. So it's not in perpetuity. It's a different loan for a different purpose. So I just think that's confusing if you say it that way. It's the same amount of money, yes, but it's for a different purpose.
I think it's like paying off a credit card, then opening up a new one and running up and
In
having the same payment.
Continue. Yep.
I do have a question though, because I don't have a copy, Mr. Supervisor, of what you read. You started out by saying that the committee recommended build or buying a building instead of looking at this building, which I don't see in their report. I mean, I'm just going to read the last paragraph. It is recommended that the town perform a detailed assessment of, I'm going to insert a word because there's a typo, of the capital costs of the necessary repairs and improvements the current town hall required to make it suitable for the coming years and implement a capital improvement program for the project. Alternatively, alternatives such as new building construction or adaptive reuse of other buildings and land available within the town should be considered and evaluated based on costs and benefits, which is consistent with what Mr. Madigan, I want to make sure I got your last name right, said. So you started off by saying that they recommend buying a new building instead of looking at doing something to this, but that's not consistent with what he said or what they wrote in the report. So can you explain that conflict?
There's no doubt we need a new building.
Well, as we're about to hear, I think there is. I think we need to do something. There's no doubt we need to do something. But you said the committee concluded that we should buy a new building instead of looking at repurposing this one. That
Okay,
contradicts
so-
what they put in the written
so-
report
So,
and what he said. So I'm wondering what's the reason for that contradiction?
so I might have missed that then.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
if that's what you're looking for,
I don't, it's, you said they said something they didn't say. So I'm trying to understand why. Okay. Because that confused me right off the bat. I wonder, I'm going to ask the committee here. So an idea that's been floated for quite some time, before this supervisor, before the supervisor's predecessor, was the possibility of building a new court facility, because the courts are a huge problem. And as an attorney who used to practice here before I got on the town board, I can tell you this court is one of the worst, maybe the worst in the county now that North Syracuse closed. Building a new court facility on this property, which would allow us to repurpose this room and the rooms taken by the judges for their chambers, for the court office. Was that mentioned to you, that was an idea that had been floated at all? Okay, all right, because you didn't mention it in your report. You didn't mention the possible, because if those are 1 foot by 1 foot ceiling tiles, which I think they are, right, Mr. Procopio? And so I did a quick count. I can't see very well, but it looks like it's 24 by 45 or whatever. So there's roughly 1,000 square feet in this room, right? Doing the math quickly. And then there's no breakdown of the square footage of the other offices taken up by the court. So there's a decent amount of square footage here, and I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I do know that things can be done, including with load-bearing walls. So I'm just wondering, was any consideration given to what could be done with the space in here that would be freed up if the courts were moved and we did not need a meeting room in this building anymore? Did you consider that at all or discuss that? Okay. Okay, that's fine. You weren't expecting, I want to know, because we're talking about spending here. I don't know why the supervisor thinks we can get it for less than 12. The asking price is 12. Our attorney has been told that there's other parties interested in the building. The former owner of the building, who somehow is involved in the conversation, said that he knows that there are other people involved that are interested in the building. And one thing that I think everybody needs to keep in mind here, maybe not everybody will appreciate what this means. Echo Park is a publicly traded corporation. And that means that they don't have the ability to make deals or negotiate quite the way that a privately traded corporation can do. Or not privately traded, a closely held private corporation. If Roger Burdick, not that he would, wanted to sell us Drivers Village for $10, I'm assuming it's closely held, he could do that. A publicly traded corporation would face lawsuits by their shareholders if they do not maximize the value for their property. So if we make an offer for 10 and someone comes in and makes an offer for 10.5, they can't say, oh, you know what, I'd rather sell it to the municipality or the town of Cicero. That's setting aside the fact that they know that we have special rules with borrowing money like this, like a referendum. So there's a lot of what we call contingencies on a municipal contract, which means that I don't think, even if all 5 of us were in support of this, which, as you're about to hear, we're not, I don't think that even if all 5 of us were, we could get this building, because if there's other parties that are interested, and if you own a car dealership, that place is turnkey. All the lifts have been inspected. You walk in, you get a site plan, which is not going to be denied because it just was a car dealership, and you're in business. We make an offer. One of those other parties decides they're not looking anymore because they might lose the place. We make an offer for 10. They make an offer for 10.5. They make an offer for $1 more, technically. And then suddenly either we're in a bidding war or they get the property. So we're sitting here talking about something which, again, even if the board wanted to do it, I don't think we could.
Mr. Carp.
So you don't try to do something?
I'm not, well, that would be if I thought it was a good idea, but we don't, as you're,
okay.
So thank you for clarifying that. And I do appreciate all the work that you've done. And I agree with you. There's a lot of problems here. This building needs to be addressed one way or another, whether it's renovation, repurposing, the court is terrible. I don't think anyone up here disagrees we need to do something. I think the disagreement is about what we need to do and whether or not we need to spend $12 million in a building, then close to another $3 million or so renovating a building to do it. I mean, we hear from residents all the time. Actually, you know what? You said something, Mike. Do you want to chip in?
I
apologize.
I was going to challenge one of your statements.
One of mine? Sure.
Yes. It was about us up here.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about us up here. I was elected to represent the community. There's no argument up here on which one of us is in the community the most.
That's fair.
It would be me, right?
I
have been to 3,600 homes just this year alone, 3,600 homes. That means me knocking on door, meeting with residents. Over 460 of them have brought up the fact that building the highway garage, again, not just the price of that highway garage, exceeded what the borrowing was, right? That's about 1 in 5 people that are still disgusted with that. So if we did put a referendum out, It definitely wouldn't.
No, we should
pass.
let the people decide. That's probably open government, right? We want to let the people decide.
Let's address that.
The people that Mike, you can't argue 3,600 homes
There you
that
go.
I went to.
But let's actually, you know what? Let's have a civics lesson. We can discuss that. So this is a representative government. We are elected to exercise our judgment. Okay, the people elect us to exercise our judgment on the budget, on hiring people, on having a police department. The referendum process exists as a check, the checks and balances we all learned about. You learned about it in Congress, how a bill becomes law and how there's checks and balances. The president has to sign it. If he doesn't, you got a veto, you can override the veto. The referendum process is a check on us on major decisions that we make. It is a supplement to representative democracy. It is not a substitute for representative democracy. We are here to exercise our judgment. And then if we exercise our judgment, we want to borrow $15 million, then there's a referendum to confirm that. We can't put this out to the people. First of all, it's not the purpose of the government, but we can't put this out to the people without voting affirmatively for it. And my judgment, which I was elected to exercise, is that this is a bad idea. So I'm going to vote no. But getting back, and I apologize, I didn't want to speak for you. I didn't want to speak for you, Mr. Bacallo.
There's no vote tonight.
That's fine. Well, whenever there is, there will be, my vote will be no. And I apologize, didn't mean to speak for you, Mr. Bacallo. But we're talking about putting pickleball courts in the middle of a heavily trafficked area that's a commercial space. We're talking about putting a police department in the middle of a heavily trafficked area. Maybe we could lay down field turf and play football because the parking lot's big enough for that. Like the parking lot could only be described as comically large. Like there's no doubt we need to do something, I don't think, but this plan and the $3 million I quoted for renovating, according to the architect from Bergman or whatever they're called now, that was to renovate half the building. It's not even a renovate or repurpose the whole thing.
I think it's less than half.
Just under half.
That
actually.
was, we met with him the other day. That was if they had to put all new mechanicals in and put all new walls up in the place. And that's not the case. He says, I have to give you the worst case scenario. If this was what it was.
We have to plan for, yes.
Have to
I
plan.
mean, we have
And
to
that's
plan for the
called-
worst case
And
scenario.
that's called proper planning. And if you got more.
Yeah, but keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well,
So
I'd like to read a letter of support from our assemblyman's office. This is Mr. Aragano, Supervisor Aragano. Please accept this letter of support for the town of Cicero's planned purchase of Echo Park Site Route 11, with the plan of utilizing it as a new town hall, parks and rec facility, town courts, and eventually the town police department. The town of Cicero has surely outgrown its disparate facilities. Or disparate facilities, and would gain a great deal of efficiency consolidating all the departments. In addition, we would provide a capital grant in the amount of $250,000 toward the project. With the purchase of this land and proper development of the site, this would undoubtedly result in positive impact for local community. Please let me know if my office can be further assistance.
Can I ask a question to that?
Sure.
The asking price would be what? What?
the current asking price is 12 is my understanding.
Well, so grand total, how much money are we getting from Mr. Sturpey and Mr. Mangan?
50 and 400 and 200.
What's the math on that?
Well, are those grants that could be used for other things or are this specifically and solely for this?
For the interior of the building, correct.
Okay, but it couldn't be used for anything else. These are grants that are solely offered for this project. Okay.
So like 600,000?
Yeah, I mean, it's less than a
It's not even a
million.
drop in the bucket.
So
It's like
900.
okay.
It's better than zero.
you know,
I'm not here, listen, the guys, I'm not here to argue with anybody up here. I'm just here to present something. You know, we're looking to do something. This opportunity came upon. I thought it was something that the town board should look at.
but we have, and we
And we
have
told you
privately
no.
told you that there's no,
Yeah.
that you need 4 votes to borrow that kind of money. And we have all private, and 3 of us have privately told you we're not in support of it. I don't know why we're still discussing it.
Well,
If they were going to give us the building or sell it for a ridiculously low price, then maybe we have a different discussion. But, you know, even your number that you,
Well, you just said that you wouldn't purchase it, but if they gave it to you for a lower price, you might be in.
for a ridiculously low price, they want to sell it to us for $1 million or $2 million, then we have a different conversation, but they can't do that. It's a publicly traded company. Like they may as well give it to us for $1. I mean, you know, we've talked about this. You know, it's again, and I don't think that we could make it happen even if we all wanted to, which we don't.
Okay.
So, you know,
So my view on this, if I can just interject, is we talked about this, we've looked at it. There's been well, maybe we should look at it more. Maybe we should get some facts. There's been, no, it's not a good idea. I'm just glad that we're letting the town people know that this is out there. It's a possibility. We don't have to do it. We've got nothing written that we're doing this. We wanted to give you an idea of what is possible. So that's my take on it. I mean, I'm not going to argue with anybody. There's pros to it, there's cons to it. But I'm just glad that the town people are going to know about this and that it wasn't just done behind closed doors, that someone else knew about it. It wasn't just us talking back and forth. I think that's very important for these people.
I agree. Has any money been spent on looking into this at all?
Not $1.
Except for have any town employees been utilized in any way in furtherance of this? Doing analysis, or any kind of analysis, financial, mechanical,
Fiscal
otherwise.
advisors, yes.
Okay. What about, I mean, has our comptroller done any work on financial analysis on this? I'm going to assume she probably has, correct?
I think in the very beginning.
IT people, engineers, anybody like that?
No.
Okay. And Bergman didn't charge us for driving out here to look at the building?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's good. And they're not going to charge us in the future for that, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And nor would I spend taxpayers' money to do that.
I mean, I have a lot more, but I won't.
Please, no, by all means, if you want, Mr. Bacala, please. I
just-
don't think I have anything.
It's been mentioned about progress, right? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe that current property today in total, including town, county, state, pays $67,000, right? It's like 20 something for the town. I know we talked about cost of selling this and selling that. If someone buys that property, and I certainly know it won't be for the price that's been named this evening, that becomes an even more valuable property to the town of Cicero. And I look at it that way. When you take away a property away from the free market, it's also, that's going against progress, right? That's taking away the ability for the free market to develop that property the way that the free market sees fit. When you stick a government entity on it, it's taking it away completely. And then taxes, of course, go up again. There's just, again, the idea, I entertained the idea. The PowerPoint that was tonight, there's a lot of ideas in there. Some I think are cool, some I disagree with. There's just a lot more negatives to this than positives. And I just can't, I can go on all evening, but I won't. Especially when we talk about the economic climate that we're in. People are struggling and I see it. People tell me and I hear it. People are struggling, whether do I pay for my medication or do I pay for food? And we're talking about something that is going to cost well above $15 million. I think it's a disservice to the residents and it's disrespectful. So when there is a vote, I hope there's never a vote, but I'll be a no. I was a no a week ago. I was no today. I'll be a no tomorrow. So.
And one thing I'd like to add, is everybody else done? Well, one thing I'd like to add is, remember, we have Mike Ron coming. We are asking the developers for their A game in the town of Cicero. When you come into this town hall, it's an F. Okay, we need some respect from our developers. We'd like to work with our developers to show them that we have a beautiful place, okay, to come do business.
I've never heard a developer say they're going to come to a town because of the way their town hall looked.
I don't think we need to spend 15 million for a nice town hall anyway. You know, I agree we need to do something. I think we should follow at some point we should do an RFP and we should follow the committee's advice on at least looking and see, maybe this is not possible to repurpose this town hall in the way that I enunciated earlier. The problem is I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, I don't know. And I think that our due diligence requires that we get someone that does know. So that's something we can talk about. I just think it's time for us to move on from this Echo Park thing.
Yeah, Councilor Carp, I have to agree with you when we talk about a project of this significance. None of us up here can make let's say we all thought it was great. None of us can really make the decision until we know the other options, those same options that the committee did bring up. We have to see how much it would cost if we were to refurbish this building. Again, get the cost of what new construction would cost against this.
We already have
Then
new
you can make a decision.
construction of 18,000 square foot building at the site up at the highway department was estimated at $10,000 or $10 million.
So
Every day-
two-thirds the cost of this
every-
project.
That was 10 million by itself, just the building. It was a two-story building to fit the footprint up there. And that's not including the another $750,000 to build a parks building that needs to go up on site as well. So you're up to 11 million at least.
And then we don't have the cost for what refurbishing this would be, though. We don't. We should get it.
I mean, the other thing, I'm mindful of the fact that we had that Girl Scout building on Thompson Road, which was for sale recently for a fraction of this. And even if it did need extensive refurbishment, remodeling, raising the ceiling to accommodate a quarter a meeting room. I mean, you know, like there's been other opportunities to repurpose buildings here that didn't involve a $15 million expenditure.
And I'll go off of that. And there was, and Steve Procopio and I went over there. And after you mentioned it, and the cost and the parking was not adequate. And I conveyed that to you as well.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I'm just, for what we're looking at paying here for a fraction of that, we could have probably done everything we needed over there. So,
When we talk about spending for the community and taxes going up and all that kind of stuff, but we have a police building, a highway, parks building, and a town hall that the residents of the town have to maintain over the next 25 or 30 years. That's 2 or 3 buildings you have to maintain, and you should all think about moving to one facility so you can save some money.
the facility that was spec'd out at the highway was 18,000 square feet, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And
Did
how
not
big
include
is Echo Park?
Did not include the police department. That's correct.
How big is Echo Park?
44,000.
So
square-
more than
6,000.
twice the
46,000.
size. Okay. I mean, I don't think the police department takes up 20,000 square feet.
No.
So, all right, I
Okay, that's enough. I'm okay.
all right, I think it's time to move on from this. I got a couple resolutions. I move the adoption of a resolution declaring the town board's opposition to the purchase of or the taking of any action in furtherance of the potential purchase of the property located at 8010 Brewerton Road, Cicero, tax map number 044.03-01.1, commonly known as Echo Park and formerly known as Sun Auto.
Second.
Discussion? If you're not going to say it, Mr. Aragano, I will.
Discussion?
I think I've said everything that needs to be said on this.
Okay.
Can we do a roll call vote, though? Thank you.
Aye.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Counselor White,
No.
Supervisor Aragano,
No.
I move the adoption resolution prohibiting the expenditure of any and all town monies from whatever source derived and in whatever form, or the incurrence of any debt or liability for which the town is or may in the future become liable on or for any action or actions in furtherance of or in any way related to the purchase or potential purchase of the property located at 8010 Brewerton Road, Cicero, tax map number 044.03-01.1, commonly known as Echo Park and formerly known as Sun Auto. This resolution specifically prohibits, but is not limited to the prohibition of payments to vendors, contractors, and outside entities for goods and services related to said purchase or potential purchase, but also to the use of non-elected town employee time, vendor time, and contractor time on work related to said purchase or potential purchase. This resolution is made pursuant to the town board's power of management and control of town finances as set forth in section 64, subsection 1 of the town law.
Second.
Discussion.
I think I've said everything that needs to be said.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Counselor Carp,
Aye.
Counselor Maurizio, Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Counselor White,
No.
Supervisor Aragano,
Absolutely not. Thank you. Open up the public participation, discussion. Anybody like to come up and speak? No, I want to thank our facilities committee for a fantastic job they did. And with that being said, we'll end the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.